Hi there, Dead Ideal Boy here, back with another video on the channel, and this time we have a daily race C for you. It is Suzuka and it's the Group 3 cars from this week's daily races. Now, there's something immediately wrong with this game that you're going to notice, and when you see the starting lineup you'll immediately spot that for some reason I am in pole position, courtesy of a 157.5. Now, don't ask me where I managed to pull that lap from, but I pulled it from somewhere, and at the time, certainly this time of recording this, that is one of the top 50 global times for the week. So yeah, it was just one of those laps where everything just seemed to go absolutely perfectly. But that was set in a completely different car, because the car for this race is the Subaru BRZ. Now, the reasons for this are, one, it is really good on fuel. You do have to manage your fuel really well though, which you can see from the bottom right hand corner. Usually I would have my radar on there, but I'm having to commit to a fuel map, and you'll see it going up and down constantly throughout this race, as I desperately try to save fuel to get me to the end, because I did run out of fuel the first time I tried this race, and I basically freewheeled over the line in last place. It was all very embarrassing, so yeah, I don't want that to happen again. Anyway, we're in pole position here, so we've got to go and set some, set a good pace, opening pace, whilst also trying to save fuel. So it's a difficult task, but yeah, the BRZ is the choice because of that fuel saving, and also because of the tyre wear. Now, I have never driven a car like this in all of my life on GranTurismo. The tyre wear in this car is insanely good. Now, it will show that there is tyre wear on the tyres, which you can see in the bottom left hand corner next to the timer, but although the tyre is shown as wearing, they do not feel like they're wearing, and they do not act like they're wearing. I honestly think this game is a bit broken when it comes to the tyres on this particular car, because it defies belief. By the time we get to lap 6, when every other car is starting to die on tyres, this car still feels like it's got fresh rubber on, and it doesn't change throughout the course of the race. It just feels so planted, and yeah, that's why it feels like it is a bit of a cheat car when it comes to tyres, because they just never feel like they are worn at any point throughout this race. So it's the number one choice for the race, on the basis of the fact that your grip is just going to be there. You can see though in the race, so back to the action, lap 2, we've got somebody obviously just on a one-stop strategy, I presume at this stage, because they've flown past me like they're in a rush to get somewhere. They're clearly not fuel saving, so that tells you right away that they must be on a one-stop strategy, so that's fine. Happy to let them go, because really, from the beginning of this race, if you're starting at the front and you're on a fuel saving strategy in the BRZ, a one-stop strategy just isn't going to cut it against it, and so we're happy to just let that guy go, do his own thing, and when he goes into the pits, we'll give him a wave as we go past. That's the strategy anyway, and that's the hope that we don't bin it before then. So you can see here, halfway through lap 2, still managing that fuel into fuel map 3 for Spoon. Just going to knock it down into 1 so we can power out onto the straights, and that was the important thing here in this race, making sure that you got onto power map 1 for the long straights to get you off, keep your pace up. But going into the end of the twisty sections, start to play with the fuel. Now, I'm not particularly skilled at fuel saving, never have been. I don't really like fiddling with the knobs, insert joke here, but there was no other way around about it. If you want to be competitive in this race, you have to just do it. There's no option. You've just got to try and learn as best you can. You can see here we're under threat again. We're obviously going to be passed. If we decide to fight it, we might be able to hang on. Turbo Hulk has got the run, and we've got to make a decision now. We're going to back out, because I thought to myself, look, let him go, let him use up a bit of fuel, we'll save even more behind him. That was the strategy anyway, and like I said, in this car I certainly wasn't the quickest, I didn't feel the quickest, but it felt stable and it felt good on the road. So there are different ways of obviously managing your fuel. Turbo Hulk has decided to overtake me, and it looks like he's going to try and break the slipstream, which if he does, then that will prevent me from saving fuel behind him. So that is a legitimate tactic. Pass someone, break the slipstream, and then get back to your own fuel saving, and see if that can help, because the longer I can stay in his slipstream, the more fuel I can save, the more fuel, oh, you can just see somebody in the background binning it there, the more fuel I can save, and then later on in the race we can hopefully push with a little bit more of an aggressive strategy. But yeah, you've seen somebody binning it in the background there, and that was the thing. As you can also see, Scotty Senior behind us has picked up a half-second penalty. That's also good news for us. But that was the thing, you'll see me looking back in the rear view a lot more in this race, because I don't have my radar on, so I have no idea really, apart from checking the delta, how close cars are behind me, because I'm having to commit to the fuel map. And that's it's a frustration about GT7, that you can't get that fuel map, you know, and the radar separated. It would be so helpful if you could, because races like this that require constant fuel saving, you're at such a disadvantage if you're using a view which doesn't have a rear view mirror. And that's certainly the case for us. So you can see here, coming up for the end of lap 3, we're still in touch with Turbo Hulk, although we were losing a little bit of time coming out of the final chicane there at the Casio Triangle, I believe it's called. You can see he's managed to now break the slipstream. So jumping forward, you know, you know, we were struggling a little bit there, and you can see Slayer's also managed to get past us as well. He was basically on an absolute mission at this point, and I decided just let Slayers go and he can attack Hulk, and hopefully that'll benefit us. As you can see, the leader has now gone into the pits, and as predicted, we'll give him a wave on the way past, saving fuel galore. At the current prices of fuel, to be honest with you, saving fuel is a very, very, very wise strategy. But anyway, I digress. So a couple of other people you can see in the delta there, and the positions going into the pits. So a lot of wind stoppers probably in the back, but not going to affect our race, thankfully. So like I said, Twitch F1 Slayers, he has caught Hulk, and he's now starting to battle. Now this was part of my plan in terms of not fighting Slayers, because I knew he was certainly pushing a lot harder than me, and you can see he's battled to the point where he's actually managed to get past Hulk, and that has actually brought Hulk back towards me. So that's good. We can now get back into that slipstream, start saving all that fuel again, whilst also knowing that they couldn't keep up that pace until the end of the race without having to, you know, ease off a little bit. So yeah, it's paying off. We're now in lap 8. You can see the fuel there. We've got 3.1 laps of fuel left, and we've got enough now to possibly go a bit aggressive, start pushing a little bit, see if we can, you know, catch him, basically, you know, mix up a little bit. But we've also got the prospect of wind now behind us. You can see from the delta he is right behind us. As we almost lose it, we come back on, we actually hit into the side of wind there, we back off to let wind go past. Now that was a huge moment, because I thought I was dead at that point. I don't know quite how I managed to keep the car pointing forward, but I did, and the accidental use of the side of Wind's car also helped. You can see now Wind, he is certainly on a mission. He has now caught Hulk, and he, you know, Wind was racing from the back, but he's one of the fastest players in the world. He's constantly challenging for world records on the daily races each week. So yeah, it was a little bit of a lost cause trying to fight him. So again, him getting past us and getting up and catching up with Hulk and getting past him as well with relative ease doesn't do us too much damage, to be honest with you. Although we started in pole and we're down to P4, we're still in this race. That's the way I'm looking at it. We're still in the fight, and that's good, because like I said, fuel saving races like this are by no way my strength. If it was an out and out sprint, I I'd have far more confidence, because I do enjoy Suzuka. I do feel like I've got good pace around it, but having to constantly up and down in the fuel map, you can see it's been going up and down like nobody's business throughout the entirety of this race, and it's difficult because you're just using a little thumbstick on the wheel, having to flick up and flick down. But you can see up ahead the battle has now become slightly intense, and Hulk and Twitch F1 Slayers having a little bit of a come together. Hulk backs off. He's obviously felt he's caused the problem there, and he's let Slayers take the position back, which is great news for us, because we've just picked up 2 positions and we're now up to P2. So that was a huge moment in the race there, and you can see we're now stretching our legs, getting away from them behind us. It was yeah, a little bit of an incident, but absolutely no malice in it, and Hulk doing precisely the right thing. If he felt that he caused the problem, he backs off, he gives Slayers the position, even if it meant, you know, giving up 1 or 2 positions more. Absolutely commend anybody who behaves like that on the track. If you make a mistake and you cause somebody to lose a position, even if it is going to cost you 3, 4, 5, even more positions to give them it back, I always feel that is the thing to do. It's just good racing, good sportsmanship. So applaud, hats off and applause to Hulk for doing that there. But the good news is for me, I'm now well clear in P2, and Wind, I'm hoping, has not got much in the way of fuel left, because you can see the kind of lap times that Wind is capable of. I think he'd done a 1:59 at one point, and my lap times I felt were actually pretty good. Other than the lap where I nearly died, my lap times were actually pretty consistent, all in the 202s and a few 201s, even low 201s. So it was all good from that point of view. So you can see there, we've got 1.2 laps remaining of fuel, and we're now into the final lap, so I can afford to be a bit more aggressive through the S's. I don't drop to fuel map 6 this time. I end up in fuel map 4, not really by design, just by the fact that, yeah, I just stopped clicking through the thumbstick at that point. Ended up on 4, and I just left it there because I did have a little bit more fuel to spare anyway. You can see Wind's not absolutely blasting away from us the way we would have expected him to in a normal sprint race, so that means to me he is having to save a little bit of fuel. So it's really just now down to whether or not we've got enough in the tank to make a move. We got a little bit wide there, which does cost us a little bit through there, and that was disappointing, because I felt if I could nail those 2 right-handers, I could have really been on top of them coming up into the hairpin, but we actually lost a little bit of time, so we're going to have to push hard now for the rest of this lap. Fuel map 1, you can see we've got plenty of fuel left now, and we're going to absolutely nail it. Like I said, look at that tyre wear. I mean, the tyres look really warm, but trust me, this car does not feel like it. So if you've been struggling on tyres, any other car, and you feel like they're dying off, you need to try this. What this car lacks in top speed, it more than makes up for in tyre wear and grip. So I don't know if PD will do something about it, because like I said, it definitely feels a bit like a cheat not having any feeling of tyre wear. It's just insane. But you can see now we're hoping that maybe Wind will bin it going round at the final 2 corners, but he's managed to keep it pointing forward. He's absolutely flown from the back through the field. We've actually got too much fuel left, so yeah, didn't manage it exactly perfectly. Could have pushed a little bit harder in the end, but we come across the line for a good hard fought P2 just by being nice and consistent, being nice and calm, not panicking when others were pushing harder and going past us. We let them kind of come back to us. So yeah, a victory for the fuel saving strategy that I decided to deploy, and yeah, P2 is always a good result for me in a daily race C, especially with a really strong field like that. Yeah, that's all from me, folks. If you haven't hit the like button and you haven't subscribed to the channel, I would really appreciate it. It's really helpful. We're growing the channel, we're getting ever closer to 4,000 subscribers, so anything, you know, towards that helps, and I appreciate everybody who has already done that. So yeah, until the next video, I will see you all, and hopefully you enjoy your racing over the weekend and have a good one. Goodbye.